everybody. This is Bia Williams with Ben Kinney Companies. It is Wednesday at noon, so that means we are here with you live going through our Wednesday webinar. Every single Wednesday, we go through tactics and strategies to make you a better real estate agent. Our goal on every single one of these is that you walk away with 1 to 3 things you can use, tactically speaking, really use within an hour of listening to the webinar. That's a tall order, but I think we do it each and every week. So we are in the middle of a series right now to prep you for your business planning for 2022. And so what we're doing is every week we're taking a lead generation topic and we are going deep on it with an expert or a panel. And today it is all about FSBOs, and Jason Baker is all about FSBOs. He's in Missoula, Montana. He's one of our place partners. And I just happen to know that he's unbelievable at FSBOs. I couldn't think of a better expert to bring on to talk to you about this. So Jason, welcome. And I'd love you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, gosh. Well, happy Wednesday, Vija. Yeah. So just I run a small brokerage as a team over in Missoula, Montana. And we have 5 agents on the team. And we have a great admin staff to help support them. And we're, get here at 8:30, do some role play and get on the phone kind of team. It's especially I know that we talked a lot, Via, about the inventory is, historically low, and it's super frustrating compared to what it used to be to find inventory. So yeah, like you said, hopefully today we can help people feel confident to get on the phone, call some for sale by owners and have that really change their business. So we'll go over some simple things today with your help.
Well, yeah, and we do talk about that a lot in that, the market's like a pendulum, isn't it, Jason? Where, when it's low inventory, we're in a FSBO market. When it's high inventory, we move into an expired market. And so I think, any market that I know of in the foreseeable future is going to be most likely a FSBO market, not an expired market. Most markets in the US, most major and medium-sized markets, even small markets, are tied on inventory. And so this is a skill that a lot of people may not have had on previous business planning, but they need now. And I do want to go into a little bit about your history, because I think you've got a cool history, but I wanted to tell a story, if that's okay, about FSBOs.
Of course.
So I started in real estate in 2002, and my entire business was like Sphere and, referrals, and then new construction and open houses. That was pretty much my entire business. I did pretty well. And then I started a team in 2013, and I realized that I had mouths to feed. I had to start bringing in more listings, more leads to my team, right? And I realized at that point I had to go what we call from E to P, right? Which coincidentally is an empire building podcast that just came out. We just covered going from E to P. So a little shameless self-promotion. Maybe Robin can put it in chat. However, if you don't know what E to P is, you should listen to the empire building. It's either the last episode or the one before. I can't remember. Anyway, but I digress.
Best podcast ever. Best podcast.
Oh, you're the best. Well, thank you. You're the best. You're the best. I digress.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was at a point where I was like, well, I need to figure out more leads for my team. As a rainmaker, the biggest job you have is to provide listings to your team. And if you're not doing it, you need to make sure you have someone that is. And at that time, I was the listing specialist. That was my primary job, right? So there are times when you're running a team where everything else has to stop and you have to bring on new listings. If you're low, right? That's your one thing. Like you have one job as a rainmaker, right? And that's to bring listings on. I mean, you have a lot of jobs, but that's the thing. So I went to Eugene, Oregon to teach a class because someone twisted my arm. I was like, I'm really busy. We're low on listings, but okay. It was like in September. And I went there, and then a couple of us went out to dinner after the class before I flew home. I just flew there for the day. And as always happens when I teach, I got blessed. It always happens that when I do those things, I get more than the students do. And this gal sat next to me at dinner, and she started telling me the story of how they moved to a new market, and she had never called on a FSBO before. And she started working with her coach, and her coach walked her through a plan, and she started working the plan, and she brought on like 50 listings that year, like 50. And in the West Coast, when you're in like Seattle, Portland, 50 listings is a lot. We have really high price points here, and our unit counts are low. We're kind of, us in the Bay Area, we kind of tend to have lower unit counts. So I go, oh my goodness, would you share with me that plan? And if you do, what I'll do is, I'll work on it on my end, and I'll share back, and we'll collaborate, and we'll just make each other better. And she said, yeah. So I came back, and I, created the Vija Group FSBO plan. And like any leader, I had to do it first, right? That's just what we do. I got 4 FSBOs by the end of that year, never having called on a FSBO. My team got 12. For us, that's a ton of units here. It was 10 million in real estate. That was 10 million in real estate. It changed our year, ended up being one of our primary lead sources. And this is someone who, I wasn't a big cold caller. I did cold call. I did what I had to do, but not a big cold caller. I'm like your typical sphere referral open house agent. So I wanted to share that story because anybody can do this. What I learned is that FSBOs are relational. Expireds are a little different. I'm not going to lie. Expireds are, to me, Jason, they're a little more hardcore sales. Like, yeah. And what I realized is trainers always said expired and FSBOs together, like they were the same, and they are so different. Because what we learned on FSBOs is it's just relational. It's a follow-up game. And it was really like the 6th week was the magic week. But we could have called them on their week 3, which means it could have been week 3 for us. So on average for us, and I'm excited to dive in for you, it was kind of between week 3 and 5 that when the magic happened. Not that you don't walk in and score some right away. I get that happens, but for us, that was what it was. And it was quite easy. It was easy sales. If you are a referral and a lead, like a sphere and an open house type agent, I urge you to open your brain and listen to this today, and maybe consider it, because it may not be what you think. Do you have anything to add to that, Jason?
I think I think you're so right when you're talking about like the expireds are okay. Like it's more of a right now thing. But then you have to think about, like, yes, both are raising their hand saying, yes, I want to sell. And FSBO's selling on their own. And expired just listed with a real estate agent. Obviously, it didn't work out for whatever reason. But there's so much misinformation out there with a for sale by owner. Like, why did a for sale by owner make knowing that there's 850 agents in little old Missoula, why did they make the decision to not list with one of those 850 agents? So it's a whole nother thing. When you say relational, I mean, understatement, right? I mean, this is an opportunity right now. If you can get in there and be the person that doesn't quit after 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you're going to have, I mean, think about it. Most people will call one time, not 5, 6, or 7 times, so, but it is different than an expired. It's a little bit more, I don't necessarily know it's more skill, but it's more care.
Yeah. I would agree with that, and it just, to me, it feels a little bit more relational, because it's not a one and done. Like, you have to kind of carry on a relationship until you close them effectively to be your client. And then you get into client mode. So Jason, you started in 2013, right? You were a lender before that in Bozeman. You moved to Missoula, and you're like, hi, I have just started a real estate business.
I was the guy where you talk about, like, I was the guy that knew, like, first of all, I'm a hermit anyway. I mean, I live in Missoula, Montana on purpose, so I'm not trying to talk to a million people every day, right? But I knew I had 17 people in my sphere, okay? And I think my Culligan guy, the guy that makes me donuts, a guy definitely didn't have a gym membership, all those kinds of things, right? So I didn't know, I didn't know anybody, and I lived. Hold
on. You had a guy that made you donuts? What?
Yeah, he does. Well, it's funny.
No, I need a person that makes me donuts.
Absolutely.
This is what?
Yeah, his name, first name Crispy, last name Cream. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I thought it was like a little
which is
donut
great.
shop.
You know, it's like it's not like Dunkin' Donuts. Like they don't have the ones full of jelly, I don't think. So I don't like them as much as I used
Ooh,
to.
I like lemon and cream and
Oh,
custard. I don't like jelly, but I like the other fillings in it.
oh yeah, no, the jelly is so good, super healthy. But anyway, but
Okay.
I didn't. So the thing was, I didn't know anybody. Right when I first got into real estate, I had about $2,800 in my bank account, and I'm trying to convince my wife. I'm like, I think I need to get a coach because I really don't know what to do. Like I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's like you think like as a lender, like it's so different real estate, you know, than lending. So got a coach right away. And the coaches, of course, is like call expireds and call for sale by owners. And back then we just had, you know, all that you could call. And so I didn't have a center of influence. I didn't want a life where I was at the beck and call of a buyer or had to go do open houses or anything like that. And I'm not discouraging that at all. It is part of a well-rounded business, but I wanted to be able to have a 9-to-5 job. And I wanted to have someone to call, and I wanted to be successful right away. And I wanted to have I wanted 100% of my business to be listings, if that's even possible. And I wanted to do that. So that's what I set out to do. And of course, expireds and for sale by owners, especially right now, for sale by owners is a large part of that.
That's awesome. I love that. I mean, and I like to get people's backgrounds and bios because I think it shows credibility and it shows everybody like, look, you're out there doing this. This is how you forged your business. You know, it's not just
$2,800 and $1,000 for a coach. You know, I didn't have much left. It was time to get on the telephone, right? So
that's right.
That's what we did.
It's funny because you and I talked about this, and the coaching company you used is the coaching company I used when I first got into real estate. And that was back in 2002. And here's the thing, I cold call because I have to, like, you know, I will do whatever it takes. By nature, though, that hasn't been, you know, how I've kind of shaped my business. But that was invaluable coaching. Knowing how to cold call and knowing how to learn and utilize scripts as a foundation of the start of my real estate career. I don't know about you, but I don't regret it for a minute, even though that's not necessarily the method nor the scripts that I would use today. It's invaluable training and coaching, I think.
It really is, because what happens is when we're on the telephone, the most important thing is that we sound like we know what we're talking about. And how that happens is we have a confidence, and we get the confidence because while we're talking to them we don't have to think about or create or make up what we're going to say. If you had a conversation with me outside of this, you'd probably be rolling your eyes going, did he really just say that? So the beautiful thing about a script is I don't have to think about what to say. But the most beautiful thing about it is the 5 or 6 things that are for sale by owner or expired are going to say come out at a predictable point in that conversation, that script conversation. They always say the same thing at the same exact time. So if I can just capitalize on that and make that sound more natural for them and for me, I just feel better. And when I feel better, I just set more appointments, whether it's now or in, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Yeah.
Well, and you just gave a teaser. So everybody, we're going to go through those 5 or 6 things. So if you're thinking you want to try FSBOs, stick with us. By the end of this hour, you really will have everything you need to jump in. Trust me, I've done this before. I mean, I have stuff typed out and written out. I'm sure Jason does. But at the end of the day, if you just let us walk you through this, it's not rocket science. It's just a system and a process. This is a follow-up game, and keep up with it. This is all you need. Put this in your car, listen to us a few times, refer us to your friends. Okay. Right. No. Okay. I'm in a shameless self-plugs today.
It's okay.
Okay. So number one, I want to start with, basic foundation. How do people decide, or how do you decide where? Do you have a geographic area that you focus on? Just how do you decide where, and what does preparation look like for you? How do you prep?
It's such an important question. Well, but they all tie together. And so the fact of the matter is no matter everything that we're trying to do we're trying to create a confidence. And so if I'm saying, well, I'm going to take the whole entire state of Montana, well, it's a humongous state, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to say, okay, realistically, where am I going to feel, what is my area? Is it going to be 1 hour from Missoula? That's what it is for me. It's 1 hour from Missoula. So I set geographically the area that I'm going to work. That also sets clear expectations for my admin team as they're searching for those for sale by owners. I always say, if you take the path of least resistance, which when you're going to load the night before, not the morning of, because you'll find every reason not to make that first dial the next day, okay, or that day. You'll find I'm going to do my research now, and then you won't call. It'll be 11 o'clock by the time you start
I've been
calling.
there. I've totally been there. I've
been there too. I can raise both hands for that one. We all have. I mean, if we're honest and we've been prospecting long enough, we've all had call reluctance, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother call.
Okay, not to be completely this shameless self-promoter, but our number one listened to empire building podcast is actually overcoming call reluctance.
Really?
And that is interesting. It's our number one podcast episode, overcoming call reluctance. I recommend everybody listening to it, but more importantly, it's a real thing. Everybody goes through it, seasoned or novice.
Well, I think back to the donut thing. I mean, I think if we could dangle a donut or carrot, maybe there wouldn't be really a call reluctance there. What we have to do is everybody. So we use Vulcan 7. Okay. Yes, they every day we wake up, we go into Mojo and the Vulcan 7 data, whether they just skim or spider through Zillow or whatever else, those numbers are in there, and 99% of real estate agents will only call those. Okay. And I got to tell you, you're just like not calling FSBOs or expireds or just listed or just solds, that you need to have pillars within the pillar of the FSBO. So you have to have 5 or 6 different places where you get those. Our number one place that's overlooked, it's Craigslist. Okay. We get so many FSBO listings from Craigslist. My admin team, my VAs will go in there and scour Craigslist by county. Okay. Do it by county or by area inside of there, and get those loaded in there, set clear expectations for what's too small. You'll get a lot of $10,000 land in there, and you really don't want to, you can call those people because maybe they, you could give that to a builder, then it could be a $500,000 listing. I understand that part of it, but we do have minimum standards. Okay. And additionally, so that's Craigslist. Then we can go to forsalebyowner.com or FSBO. There's all these online places where people either pay a small fee or whatever else, and they can put them online. They advertise it, whether it goes on the MLS or whether it does not. That's fine. Okay. Now I want to be very careful when I say the next thing. And what that is there are, I'm not going to mention names or anything like that, but there are, if you can do this in your marketplace, and you need to make sure, but there are things in our area called non-exclusive listing agreements and exclusive listing agreements. And so sometimes someone just paid someone a fee to post it on the MLS. And in some MLSs, those are fair game. You have to do your own due diligence there, and also your own comfort level there, and talk to your broker or your team leader to find out, because we're not trying to get anyone in trouble. But there's an opportunity there as well. So Zillow, it will automatically come in. You have Craigslist, you have all of those for sale by owners. Now, don't forget to look inside your newspaper classifieds that are online. Okay.
Really? Newspaper classifieds. Fascinating.
So
okay.
Type in the Missoula. Now, don't play this for anybody in Missoula now, Vija. Okay. You got to promise you're going to. So, yeah.
Well, Missoula is kind of our biggest audience. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's right. Yeah. Where is that, by the way? But anyway, yeah. So, but even just looking in the classifieds, there's actually people who will post it in the newspaper, which I don't get. But they'll also put it into the online thing, and your staff can go through there as well and pull those out. So here's the thing. You get 20 agents in some markets calling just the ones that come in through Vulcan into Mojo through there, the Zillow ones, and very few people are calling those other ones. Why? Because it's just one more layer of work they have to do, and they just simply don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I love that. So where you're targeting your sources are varied. It's not just Vulcan 7 or whatever, Red X or whatever you're subscribing to. You have a system. You're preparing the night before.
Yeah, you want it to be easier when you call. Want there to be less people that are calling these for sale by owners. look where other people aren't looking or less people are looking.
Yeah, that's right. And, here's the thing, everybody. And again, maybe Robin can put the link of our Empire Builder episode on overcoming call reluctance. But what I have always been taught and always known is, and this is a little overly simplistic, but there's two reasons you have call reluctance. You don't know who to call or you don't know what to say. Right. So what we're going to go over today is who to call and what to say, right? You will find, and the more practice you have, right? And that's why we're going to go over these common objections too. The more practice you have, you should take away a lot of that reluctance. You are going to have to just jump off the diving board at a certain point and do it, but this should make it easier. All right. So with that said, so you're all lined up, Jason, the night before, you know who you're going to call and you know what you're going to say. Let's launch into scripts.
Let's do this.
So it's Wednesday morning. It was this morning, right? And you sit down to a call session. What does that look like? Is it on a CRM? Do you go through Vulcan? What do you use?
Yep. So there's two ways you can do it, depending on, you can go right through Vulcan if you're, that's how you have everything structured. Ours ports right into Mojo. So we find the functionality just a little tiny bit easier inside of Mojo for those kinds of things, note taking, easier to find it later. But the main thing for us is just being able to better structure. Since we have multiple people calling FSBOs on our team every morning, we can figure out, we can go in there and click, hey, not dialed today. So we're not like, hey, it's Jason, hey, it's Meredith, like 2 seconds after each other, right? It happens. And I guess that's actually ends up being a good thing. Like we're actually working. But not. No, so and we'll sit down, we'll do our affirmations in the morning time, like I'm a lean, mean listing machine. That's like my big one especially after Krispy Kreme. But anyways, totally.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what we do. And then we just launch right into, some of the FSBO scripts. But in our practice, like if we're going to be calling FSBOs that day, which is probably 3 times a week that we call FSBOs, because we're not getting so many that we're not talking to the same people.
Right.
Again, like right now we have 50 FSBOs inside Mojo. I mean, that's it. So 3 of us can call it. I can call through that in one day, basically, if I sat down. But pick your script. So here's the thing. Pick your ones. There's 29 million FSBO scripts out there. Pick your one and stick with it. Do not bounce around. Here's the thing. You're going to do it one day and you're going to think, well, guess what? That didn't work. I didn't set 5 today. Well, you know why? Because you didn't. Tomorrow you're going to do another one and you're never going to master any of those scripts. So get your one and stick with it. Make that your baby. And then what you need to do is you need to chant that script. You need to read that script. You need to work on the banter in the middle of those script questions. And then you need to write down when you encounter an objection, what it was, and then you need to handle that as well. And you'll find after about a month, and sometimes not even that long, you're really going to start interjecting this banter and this confidence. It's all going to come together, but you have to give yourself the grace and the time for that to happen. It does not happen in one day. Okay. Well, you're right.
I'm so glad you said that. Because you guys have to just be willing to fail forward on some of this, right? I know it's uncomfortable for a lot of you, and we're giving you guardrails. You're really not going to fail that spectacularly. If you just follow this, it's just a matter of being okay versus being great. Wouldn't you say, Jason?
It really is. Yeah. And so what I do is I just go through, it's just about being okay. Because remember, your expectation should always be, yes, my goal or your goal, not necessarily the expectation, is that my job. And you have to remember this too. Your only job on that call is to set an appointment. It is not to go over a 26-point marketing plan.
Yeah.
It is not to sit there and talk about your brokerage for the next hour and a half. Or there's some amazing photographer, Sven, or anything like that. That is not why we're there. Our job is to simply set an appointment. And so we don't want to overcomplicate that. Okay.
I think you're the I've got a guy. Like you've got a donut guy. You've got a photography guy.
Yeah, I do. Master delegator. Yeah. Master of none, but definitely a master.
You got a guy. You got a guy. You're 100% right. I mean, the best script in real estate is, well, that's why we should meet, Jason. Yeah. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's the outcome we want, not to sell, it's to
Yeah.
make the appointment. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
think about that when you're on the phone. You're the reason why you're not closing or asking these script questions is it's an avoidance of not hearing no, perhaps, or anything like that. Like, oh, I don't want to sound scripty. Well, okay. So the first question that I ask, okay, and again, it's hard for me to ask these questions. Here's my school of thought with the script. I ask a question and then I close for an appointment. I ask a question and then I close for an appointment. I ask a question and then I close for an appointment. This is after many years, the comfort level that I have. And the reason why I do that, I never want to get to the end of a FSBO script and then I ask my one closing question and it's super awkward to ask another one. So you're done with your script and you said, okay, great. So let me ask you a question. If I was able to help about 20 for sale by owners in the last 12 months get their home sold. If I could show you a way to net more money than if you sold it by yourself, would that be worth 10 or 15 minutes of your time? At the very end of the script, where do you go after that if they say no?
Yeah.
So, so the number one, the mistake I see, or the trap I find people. So let's change that up a little tiny bit. So ring.
Hello.
Hi, is Via there?
This is Via.
Yeah, Jason Baker calling from Rise Real Estate here in Missoula. Say, doing a quick survey of all the for sale by owners in the area. Stay up on the inventory. When you sell this home, are you staying in Missoula or getting the heck out of here?
We're going to stay in Missoula.
You're going to stay in Missoula. That's fantastic. Well, I mean, it's a great place to stay. Are you going to be upsizing or downsizing when you sell, or?
We are going to be upsizing.
You're going to be upsizing. Okay, fantastic. Well, Via, over the last 12 months, we've been able to help 27 for sale by owners get their house sold for top dollar. My question is, and I know you're probably getting tons of calls, is if I could help you sell your home and net more money at the end of the day, after all of our commissions and everything, net more money than if you sold it by yourself, would that be worth 10 or 15 minutes of your time?
I don't know. You're like the 10th agent that's called me in the last few days. And so I don't know. I think we're going to try it ourselves for a while. And then we might list it later on, but we're just going to try it ourselves right now.
You're going to try it on your own for a little while. And I completely understand that. So you've gotten about 10 phone calls. They're pretty annoying, aren't they?
Well,
yeah. Well, Via, we could make them all stop. You could just meet with me for 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, we could end the suffering, right? All right. So
that's good.
Yeah, I know. So Via, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell your home?
We do want to sell. We're like an 8.
You're like an 8. Okay, fantastic. And I understand that. Via, is it more important to sell your house on your own, or at the end of the day, put more money in your pocket on your terms?
Well, definitely we want to put as much in our pocket as possible. And, it's a hot market and we know it is. And we don't feel like we probably have to pay, all the real estate fees.
I get it. It's a super hot market, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, you just confirmed with me that you would like to net more money. So I've got a worksheet that I bring in my for sale by owner appointments. Okay. And column A is what I see you doing here right now. Okay. You've got it listed here. Here's what your expected fees are, and here's what your expected net is. On column B will be what I'm going to be able to do, because you've heard about multiple competing offers and everything like that in this market, right? Column B is going to be what I can do for you. And if I can't prove to you within 10 or 15 minutes Via that column B would be better than column A, you can just throw me out. Does that sound fair enough?
Well, I mean, it's just that we have so many people viewing our home. I think we might be getting a couple offers already. And it's just, I just don't know that we're even going to need to get to that point of an appointment right now.
Okay. So you've had some people promising you that they're going to submit now, but after all that marketing that you've done, and it looks like it's been on the market here, I've been, calling a few times, looks like 2.5 weeks. In the last 2.5 weeks, we've sold 11 homes. And I know it sounds easy, but how do you know you're accepting the right offer? How do you know, Via, that you're not leaving any money on the table whatsoever? I mean, has it, have you thought about that in the back of your mind?
Well, we have an attorney that's going to help us facilitate it. So I think we'll be fine. I feel fine about it
You feel
when
fine.
that time comes. Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. And then how did you determine your sales price? I'm always curious.
Yeah, we just looked at Zillow and we looked at the Redfin estimate and what our neighbors were selling for, and then Sally Brown around the corner in that purple house over there. We happen to know that they got 7 offers. It just sold,
Yeah.
which, by the way, caveat, they always say it just sold and it sold like a year ago, which is
Yes.
always interesting. Anyway, it had just sold. So yeah, we really think that we can get, 700,000 for this house.
You think you can get 700,000?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We just sold the house for $110,000 over asking price. And would you agree? So it looks like you have it here on 1 or 2 websites. I see it here on Craigslist and I see it on Zillow. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And when we list your home, we're going to put it on 2,600 different websites, agent websites, and everywhere else. And do you think that you're going to get more showings on 1 or 2 websites, or when we list it in our MLS with 850 agents plus all those thousands of websites? Could you see how, we're going to be able to get you more showings?
We've had like a showing a day. I feel pretty good about, how many showings we've had. Yeah.
Really, it should probably be around 10 or 15 showings per day. And really, yeah, really, probably already you should have gotten about, 15 or 20 offers in this market in the time that you've had it on there. Now, do you think that that if there's 15 or 20 offers, like, after we list it for you, and there's 15 or 20 offers, you could see how that could really drive that price up. And, we can make this commission thought that you're having right now just a thing of the past, right? Money matters, right?
Yeah. So all of your 27 for sale by owners, have you gotten that many offers on all of them this year? Did you say?
So you're asking me if I got multiple offers on the 27 for sale by owners? Yeah. Yeah. There's very few homes where we're not getting multiple offers. Here's what I suggest. When you make this is obviously a business decision that's important for you, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And any business decision, what you want to do is you want to compare, multiple different kinds of plans, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so what I'm doing is I'm just trying to, trade you 10 or 15 minutes of your time for potentially $15,000 or $20,000 in net money. Do you think that that's an even trade-off?
Well, I'm a little reluctant. I am kind of interested, but I'm reluctant because we have an agent that we would probably work with if we were going to list. And so I just don't want to waste your time.
I completely understand. It wouldn't be a waste of my time. And obviously, again, with the business decision, you have the net decision, who you're going to use. And if you're going to, it sounds like you might actually be, considering, using a real estate agent, which is great. So why don't we do this? Why don't we tentatively set an appointment tomorrow for 3:00? Okay. And I'll go over this in a very logical manner. You can say, hey, Jason, that sounds good. Or there's the door. Fair enough?
Well, so you're saying, so we're listed at 800 and most of the houses I know in our neighborhood have gone for 750, 775, but we're listed at 800. And I'm hearing you say you think you can get us 815 or 820 net?
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do about 3 hours worth of research between now and tomorrow. And here's my promise to you. If when I do that research, I cannot, if when I do that research, Vija, if it doesn't make sense, in other words, the numbers that I do, everything that I run, it does not, I cannot help you net more money. I'm going to call back and cancel our appointment. Fair enough?
Okay, then yeah, I would like to meet with you then. Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. I'm either going to help you or I'm going to call and cancel. Fair enough?
Okay. Yeah, that works. I'll see if my husband can be home at 3. So
yeah, and if he has a problem with that, we can reschedule for later in the day. It's no problem. We'll make it easy for you. Okay.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I got 5 or 6 like that, I would have already been off the phone. So don't be, completely freaked out. I would have been like, oh my God, Lomo, or something like that. Or I need to call this person back in a couple of weeks' time. They're not
I was just trying to go through like every objection I've ever had.
Oh, I love it. No, it's great. Which is good. But it's one of those things where like, guys, that's not a thank you, Vija. It's definitely keep me on my toes. I was like, shit, what am I going to say next? No, I'm just kidding.
going through, I was like, what are the objections I always hit? And I honestly think we hit
Oh
like all of your objections in one call.
I'm going to call you tomorrow at 8:30 for role play. Holy cow, I love
You're like,
it.
we're almost done. We're almost done.
Yeah.
And then she goes again.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm there. I sense, it's my donut. And then no donut.
I know. Sven or donut guy. Okay. Anyway,
right.
I think we went through most of the objections. Did we miss any? I think we did cover most of them though.
A lot of them, some of the other ones are bring us a buyer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Another one that we get all the time is we want to try it on our own for 30 or 60 or 90 days. One good thing, great role play, by the way. Okay. And this is just normal. I didn't do that perfectly. And you have to understand that every new role play partner, which it's so important to not have the same role play partner every single day. Okay, do not be easy on your role play partner like Vija was not easy on me. She could have very easily given me the appointment after 2. And what purpose did that serve? It did not make us better. These are things you're going to hear. Understand in role play, you're going to screw up. Understand in the call you make, you're going to screw up. It's totally fine. Dude, if you called my wife right now and asked her how many times I screwed up just today, okay, it'd probably be a list of about 132 things, okay? But the fact of the matter is we did it. We were hard on each other. We're not looking for perfection. Like Vija said, we're looking for okay. We're looking for good enough. We're looking just to start and to do that. But bring us a buyer. Okay, so you want me to bring a buyer and negotiate against you in the sale of your home? You don't want to negotiate against Vija. What are you, nuts? Okay, so you know what I mean? So why not hire me to protect your equity? Okay, why not hire me to handle that inspection? A lot of times they say, well, bring us a buyer. We're going to give you 2.5, we'll pay you 2 or 2.5%. So what I hear you saying is you're paying us 2.5 or 3% if we bring a buyer, right? And all buyers are going to want a discount. My job as a buyer's agent is to go ahead and get you down as low as possible. And you're still paying me, again, to negotiate against you. So what you're telling me is all I need to do is come alongside you on the listing side and net 2 or 2.5% more through the whole entire thing, through the initial sale price,
right,
through the inspection, through the appraisal, and just the other things that happen throughout the deal. You're telling me all I need to do is make another 2 or 3% for you through the whole entire deal. Yeah, where do I sign up for that?
Okay, and here's the thing, Jason, where I went wrong in my role play, and I realized it after I did it, and I just want to stay here a minute, is this has got to be, you have got to educate your sellers on net. I said, are you telling me, Jason, I could net more? They don't think that way and they don't talk that way.
No.
What they think is, honestly, you guys, I swear to you, they think if they sell their house for 800, they make 800. They don't understand. They don't understand there's like excise tax in my state. There may not be in your states, but closing costs again in my state. I'm a title escrow state. You all might be a attorney. The point is there's closing costs, right? And it's, anywhere from 8 to 10% to sell a home here, maybe 7 to 10%, depending on, it's not just commission. They don't understand that. And so they don't talk in terms of net. And so what Jason's saying is you have to get really good at explaining that to people.
Yeah. It's one of those things where they haven't left any room for a discount, like in their mind. Like they just simply think that the price they set. So is that ego? It could be. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. And so when I do my trainings on for sale by owners around the country, whether it's live or, mostly, lately Zoom, in my little training company I have called Ramp Rooms, what we teach people is we teach people to create doubt on the phone call without sounding like a jerk. Okay. So as some of the questions I use, some of the banter that I use to create doubt in their mind, if you want to go here, do we have time?
Yeah. Oh, we have plenty of time.
Okay, cool. So a question I ask them is I say, do you know the 4 kinds of buyers? Are you aware of the 4 kinds of buyers that typically buy or for sale by owner? So I create that doubt. They're like, what are they talking about? Answer: low ballers, investors, contract for deed buyers, and buyers who a realtor would never work with. They have 3 houses to sell. They're not even on the market. I'm not going to recommend that my buyer's agent works with that person, frankly. So many times, if for sale by owner sale fails because they took an offer of a person who has a house to sell that's not even on the market, held them out indefinitely, and it's over with. Okay, so many times. Number two, how do I know that how do you know that you're not leaving any money on the table? And they're like, and so then they have to, and then you need to take them through that. In the unlikely event you get an offer, little embedded commands creating doubt. Do you understand that most of our homes are selling in just days and you've been on the market for close to a month? Okay. How many over asking price offers have you received via? Well,
Yeah,
none.
that was really good. When you did that, that was really good. That was, I think, the best part. Like, you're like, you should have had 15 or 20 offers. You should have had 10 to 15 showings a day. Most of our for sale by owners have received multiple offers. I thought that was really powerful.
It's one of those things where it's like, they really think if they get an off, like a showing a day, that's like miraculous. And probably for a FSBO it is. All right. So let me ask you this. Throughout the whole entire process, you do understand that you're probably going to have to pay a realtor in some respect, right? And so they start thinking, because a lot of for sale by owners list thinking they're not going to have to pay a buyer's agent. They're not going to have to pay a listing agent. They're not going to have, like you said, 800 to 800. They're just walking out of there with 800. They don't understand the fees. Excuse me. Well, another way to do that if you do pay a buyer's agent fee, are they working for you or are they working for the buyer? Do you know how much selling something on your own increases your liability? So I'm asking, like, you could tell them these things, but it's better to ask them the questions so that they process it, right? And then why would a buyer buy your home versus the thousands that are on the market right now? Okay. And the reason is because they're going to get a really, really good deal. Okay. They're not going to buy your home for full price. The reason why they're going to be attracted to yours is because they think that you're not paying 6% commission and that they're getting a really, really good deal because they're going to put you together and rob your equity. Okay.
Yeah. You know what I tell my sellers? I say one party benefits on an off-market sale in a market like this, and that's the buyer.
That's
it's not the seller.
It really isn't. It really isn't. But here's but here's the thing. Just because you're going through the script and you're amazing at it doesn't mean that they're there yet mentally to meet with you. And that's where your consistency and follow-up is where the money will be made.
100%, 1000%, 2000%, especially in FSBOs.
Yeah. It's so important that you're the rock for them throughout the process. Another thing I tell them sometimes too, I say, can I take off my realtor hat and just put on my friend hat? And they're like, oh, wow. And I'm like, hey, look, a couple of things you need to put in your ad. Number one, you got to put no lowball offers. I don't want to see. Just put that in there. Another thing, say no contract for deed or owner carries. Okay. And the other thing is must be pre-approved and no sale contingencies. Would you put that in your ad now? I said, but the problem is that's going to cut down 95% of the calls you get. Are you prepared to have more time? You're going to have way more time not wasting your time. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's good. And look, if in the off chance an offer does come in, probably won't, but if it does, I'm happy to just look over it for you if you want. And and they're going to be like, holy cow, why would that happen? He's so confident an offer is not going to come in. I'll actually look at it. But it's one of those things where, it's another thing you're trying to be memorable and you're also trying to be consistent.
Yeah, that's right. So let's enumerate just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Let's just for a moment, what are those like top 5-ish objections? Like, I just want to make sure we have a list down that, because we've kind of gone over a lot.
Bring us a buyer, we'll pay X amount of dollars.
Okay.
Bring us a buyer. Okay. So how I isolate that objection, very simply is I say, okay, so you're gonna pay me X amount to represent the buyer. Okay, what's my job when I work with a buyer? Obviously, get the seller down as much as possible, get as much paid on the home inspection, or get as much off the price on the home inspection. Okay, and then I'm looking out for them through the whole entire thing, not for the seller. Okay, so since you're going to pay me 3% anyway, so let's say I'm trying to get 5 or 6% or 5.5% or 6 or whatever it is. So what you're telling me is you're already going to pay 3. All I got to do is make an extra 2.5%, 3% throughout the whole entire process. I'll take that bet anytime. So bring us a buyer. We want to try it on our own for 30, 60, 90 days. Okay. So if they say that, they're just, you could flip that and say, great. Well, what on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your motivation to sell the home? Now, an egotistical male on that call be, 1. when really it could be a 9, right? So you have to really listen, to that answer. But if they say they want to try it for 30, 60, 90 days, say, have you considered the problem that will cause you? Great. Would you say if your home was listed with a real estate agent, was on the market for 90 days, that's an eternity in this market?
Mm-hmm.
Say your days on market, even on Zillow, are ticking. Okay. So if you have one on Zillow for 90 days, and then when you finally come to your senses and list with me, don't say that. The fact we're going to be starting at day 91, and that looks like a red herring now, wouldn't it? Great. The other thing too is, have you heard that the interest rates just went up and they're going to go up a little bit more? Yeah. And do you think a buyer's going to pay more for your house in 90 days or less if the interest rates are 4.5% or 5% or whatever they would be? And they're going to say, well, probably less. Great. So why don't we do this? Set the appointment. Another reason is, say, in 90 days, we're going to be coming into January, February, March is when a lot of people start putting their house on the market. We could have 2 to 3 times the inventory we do right now. When do you think you're going to make more money? When there's 80 homes on the market or when there's 240? So there's just a lot of, doubt that we can create while also giving them good data and not sounding scummy, right? We've had 5 or 10, 15 people call. I always do the joke, well, we can make all that end. You can just have me
that
over.
Was good. That was again, good. Yeah, I like that one.
Laugh, because humor is so important during these things, break up the monotony. They're a little stressed from your call, that kind of thing. And then, and those are really, and I have a friend, like you said, is so important. I completely understand that. Is there any reason why you haven't listed yet with your friend? Did your friend go over all these statistics with you? Wouldn't it be awkward if your friend actually didn't get the house sold? Wouldn't it be a good idea for your family to just compare both plans and do what's best for you, even if it is list with your friend? Sure. There's just all sorts of stuff you can say. But before I ever say them once, I've done it a million times in practice,
Well, I do that was really good. Thank you for kind of recapping that for us. I kind of want to walk into what your follow-up plan is, because I know for us, we kind of it was loosely an 8-week plan. Right. And what I always reminded my agents, Jason, and I'm curious to get your take on this, is for whatever reason, we did find, granted, the market's different now. The market was a little slower then. I think the timing's different now. For what it's worth, though, back then, and this would have been 2015, maybe 2015. We found 6 weeks was where they were hurting. Mm-hmm. But what I always reminded my agent is you could be calling them on week 5 or 6, right? Keeping in mind that's not your week 6, that's their week 6. So, yep. I mean, twice I went in and closed them one and done, right? I got the appointment and I was able to close them. That was it. The rest of them were a pretty processed follow-up, right? So I'm curious what your kind of experience is and what your plan is there.
It has a lot to do. Whether it's FSBOs, expireds, or whatever it is, if someone says, call me back in a month, I call them back in 10 to 14 days. I'm basically. Oh,
we always cut it in half, 100%.
Minimum,
cut it in half.
Maybe in thirds, So, yes. and that's it. Also, sending them something. So our brevity marker reports are stellar. These are the things that they want. What that does, make it rain, because you talk about people bubbling back, right? So what happens is you're sending them sold data. See, remember when they did their price, they probably went off of what a neighbor told them, because obviously they're not talking with a whole lot of realtors that they had listed, or they're just they get their numbers out of thin air, so they can start doing their market research so that when they come there, because they're getting sold comps, not just what's listed. Because when they go on Zillow in our state, non-disclosure, all they can see is what's listed. They can't see sold prices. We can give them that data, which is so important. So we're going to give them once a week market reports. We're typically on a FSBO calling once a week, no more than 5 business days, unless they say it's going to be. But with a FSBO, there's just something about it. Things change so quickly. And I think it has a lot to do with how many people know that they're selling. So many contract for deed or rent to own people have called them. A lot of the stuff that you said in the first phone call comes true very quickly. So I just don't think it's really smart to let 2 or 3 weeks go by. Just checking in. How many offers? Do you need me to look anything? Do you have any questions? Is it time to meet? Okay. Is it time to meet?
Yeah. And the other thing too, just to add to that, and it depends, what your volume is, what kind of a market is, what your price point is. Again, we're a smaller unit market here. So my experience, that's my caveat, but I would see that they were advertising an open house and I would often pop by on the weekends.
Yep.
Depending on who they were, I might even go to Starbucks for them and text them and say, hey, I see you're having an open house. What can I bring you? I'm at Starbucks. And, that cemented it a lot for me. Was just, I was paying attention. I was a resource to them. I remember one time I went to one, I got it. It was like a 751. And there was someone there. And the person left and I helped them through what they were asking. Yeah. So I was a resource because I was able to kind of linger and overhear a little bit.
It's so important that we meet these people over the phone. And I think a lot of time we fail to meet them in person. I'm guilty as charged. I'm kind of like more of a, not that way. But I think especially for newer agents or people who are just dipping their toe in this for the very first time, get over there and meet those people. Yep. I'm running a team. I'm calling a lot of people every morning. I don't have the time I used to do that, but for my newer agents that are closing, 25 or 30 transactions, there's no time reason why they couldn't run over there and maybe drop off a marketing plan or just say hi or go to their open house, like you say. Just be a resource.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. How many people are calling them every week and going?
You guys, I closed so many people for sale by owners by going in person. In fact, I closed way more than I got because inevitably what would happen is they would say, okay, we're going to list with you. Then they would get the offer and they'd say, hey, can you look it over? And, it was a good or whatever, like it went off the market. Otherwise, it was probably, I closed so many, and all of the ones I closed, every single one that I had an appointment with, I was probably at like an 80% close over time. They didn't all come to fruition though. I want to be clear, but they, would have worked with me.
Yeah. If you go over there and meet them, like I could see how that would work really good for you. Usually I turn people off so I don't go. I'm just kidding. But it's just, so for me, it might be detrimental, but no, it's one of those things where I think it's so important, especially in today's day and age, especially through this whole COVID thing, just to give it a human touch. People need humans now more than they ever did because they've been doing these darn Zooms for the last however long, right? Go over there and get a handshake, high five, hug, whatever,
Yeah, no, for sure. So, so you're just calling every 5-7 days, whatever it is, and you're just kind of following up, paying attention. And then what does it look like? Let's talk about some closes, because you did mention, you ask a question and then you close. You ask what did you say?
So what I did, and I did closes through there. So some of the closes that I'll do, like, so for instance, just going backwards, like, so I'm just doing a survey of all the for sale by owners in the area. Okay, if you sold the home, where'd you go next? Well, I would just stay in Missoula. Great. Are you upsizing or downsizing? That's what I said. I said, great. So my first close. So let me ask you. I've been able to help 27 for sale by owners in the last 12 months. And I was wondering if I could sell your home in the next, 30 days and sell it for more money than if you sold it by yourself, would that be worth 10 or 15 minutes of your time? That's my first close. Like, that's the one that I use. And so then I'll go into, and I have this, and I can share it for when I was doing my trainings, we're doing our script training. What did I call it? Easy FSBO. Let's just see here. Yeah, here it is. And so, and you can insert a close. And so it's kind of like pick your own ending, right? So, a little bit different lead in. I saw that you were for sale by owner. Did you get a home, get your home sold, or is it still available? You probably got 500 calls from agents. Where are you headed after you get your property still staying in the area, getting out of Dodge? In a perfect world, how soon did you have to be there? And then insert a close. And so then on the bottom of the page, I had, if I could show you a way to sell your home and net more money than if you sold it by yourself, would it be worth 10 or 15 minutes of your time? Then there was another couple of questions, right? Or another question or two. Why did you decide to sell it yourself rather than list with an agent? Were you aware that the average for sale by owner sells for up to 14% less than a realtor handled transaction? Insert a close. So they can pick whatever close they want. Great. So you're offering X to a buyer's agent. That's awesome. Sounds like I need to be your listing agent. All I need to do is show you how I can sell it for 2 to 3% more. Then I would ask another question. How did you come up with your sales price? Are you prepared to adjust your price down when working with a buyer or a buyer's agent? Okay. So then, and I've got these 5 closes. Most for sale by owners sell for much less than a realtor handled transaction, blah, 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 and other clauses. Is it more important to sell it on your own and net more money? You heard me say that to you, right? And so they're always going to say there, we'll net more money. But I want to make sure I like you. Okay, great. That's exactly what we'll figure out tomorrow through. Okay, all I'm trying to do is give you $15,000 or $20,000 more net by meeting with me for 15 or 20 minutes. It's super powerful. That's my last ditch effort. That's like my Columbo close. Look, here's the deal. I'm just trying to take 15 or 20 minutes of your time. In that time, I'm going to be able to show you how to easily net $15,000 to $20,000 more. Now, look, if I do all my research and I can't figure out how to net more money, I'll call and cancel tomorrow's appointment. Fair enough? Win, win, win. So,
well, and what you're doing, Jason, the psychology to that I teach my people all the time is you want to sell the benefit of the appointment, guys. Yep. So when you're closing for an appointment, what you're really closing on is what is it going to give them if they spend time with you? That's the benefit of the appointment. Human nature is such that if you just try to close for an appointment and they don't understand what they're going to get out of it, it's always with them. It's always what's in it for me. Always. Yep. So what Jason does really well is he's selling the benefit of the appointment. Hey, you spend 15, 20 minutes with me, I'm going to make you more money or save you money or whatever the value prop is.
If they're hyper analytical, well, I can, right. The liability is great. Okay. If I could show you a way to reduce your liability and take, and make it an easier process. Some people care about that. Some people don't care about that. I don't know why a for sale by owner, mostly for sale by owners care about the net. They think you're taking 6% from them, no matter what, no matter how you break that down.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Well, we're easily going to make them 6% over, asking price, but figuring out what asking price is the most important thing. Too many agents psych themselves up. Well, how am I actually going to make them more if I'm actually costing them a commission? Well, we've talked about it a lot today, but some of those ways are sell it for over asking price, protect them on the home inspection, actually get the right price up front, make sure that it's marketed properly to get way more offers, way more showings. There's just so many ways that we are going to help them do that. And realistically, also, we're going to make sure that they're not on the market forever. We're going to make sure it closes. This all costs money. They could be making $3,000 or $4,000 a month mortgage payments. I mean, how many ways are we just going to make sure it just gets done? We can't think of many ways that they're going to make more. Is the incoming buyer actually going to pay them full price? No, because they know they're not paying a commission. They think they're entitled to that 6%, that buyer.
Yes to everything. Would you be willing to share some of these scripts with us? So what I'll do is we will upload it hopefully soon. We'll upload it like now on Ben Kinney Agent Training, and you guys can get on there. And then we'll also have details on how you can get a hold of Jason for his coaching and training, and also if you have any Missoula referrals. So we'll be sure that we put that on whatever scripts that we share with everybody, Jason. So they'll get that. So it's Ben Kinney Agent Training, and maybe Robin can throw the link in chat. So Jason, I mean, any last words for agents watching who have never sold FSBOs?
It's one of those things where I have to say that for sale by owners, it's not calling for sale by owners, and we'll have another call on expireds as well, but not calling for sale by owners or expireds is basically like saying, if I didn't do that, I would make 40 to 50% less income per year. And then my agents would make much less because there wouldn't be that listing inventory, which creates the buyer leads for them, et cetera, or the income to run pay for an admin for them or whatever else. So by not doing it, basically you're saying, I just want to make 40 to 50% less. Okay. So we can help you through the trainings that Ben and company offer that we're doing right now, ways to feel more comfortable to do that in mentoring there. And then just really, like you've said, the whole call basically is to just start and just do it. And if you're afraid to start, watch Vija's thing on call reluctance. Call me. I'll be happy to do some role plays with you, and just improve your skills to a point where you're comfortable enough. If you're a higher S or higher C personality style, I understand the reluctance. But just improve your skills to the point where you're comfortable enough to do it, but mainly just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think my last words, everybody, are, always remember the purpose of your real estate conversations, your cold calls, your open houses, whatever they are. And that is to set an appointment.
Yes.
That is to set an appointment, right? When we're at the appointment, those are different. We'll train you on that too. Right now, this series, this is a business planning series. This series is really how to get the appointment. And all of these conversations, remember that that's your outcome. So at the end of the day, remember why you're calling, what your goal is for that call, right? Number two, and this is going to sound a little off topic and I don't mean to, but it's always about the follow-up game. Jason mentioned it. Every single guest almost that I've had on all year who is best in class and whatever it is, they have something that they're sending people, an automated follow-up. In case you haven't noticed, for those of my regulars that keep listening and watching, right? And a lot of those are just market reports. We use Brevity because that's our company, whatever your company tech is, Command, they all have some kind of a market report, right? And you have to have something that you're feeding in. So if you go meet with 100 FSBOs and you only list 25, to me, the win there is you have 75 that are going in your database that are getting hopefully market report. They're going to move somewhere, right? And then if you go to open houses, like, do you have something that you're sending all those people who you can't make an appointment with? So just remember that. Number one, your outcome is you want an appointment. And number two, have something that's automated that they're getting that you don't have to worry about. And over time, that starts adding up, right? That starts adding up. So thank you so much, Jason, for coming on and for being on our Wednesday webinar. We will have you back for sure. We will upload some of these scripts that we talked about. We'll have all your contact information on those. You guys can go to Ben Kinney Agent Training always to register for these, to get on our list, to download anything that we talk about in these webinars. That's kind of our site. And next week, I want you guys to join me for Bob Stewart and Jake DeRosa. We're gonna do a whole thing on internet leads. I can't talk. On the internet. We're gonna do a whole thing on internet lead conversion, which is probably a leg of everybody's stool at this point. Like at this point, everybody here has some component of internet leads that they have to budget and plan for. So we're going to just kind of walk through what we think is the best, process and system for you to enhance your internet lead conversion or get started if you haven't really committed to a plan yet. So that is next week. And I thank you so much for always joining us. I just, on a personal note, so many people, when I go to different events, because now we're going to events again, so many people stop me and take the time to tell me how much these webinars are helping their business. And when you do that, it literally makes this worth it for me. So I just wanted to thank you, because I was in an event last weekend and I had 5 or 6 people come up to me and it was like, oh, okay, that makes me feel so good. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch these and to listen to them and for saying that to me. Thank you, Jason Baker. We appreciate
Happy Wednesday.
All right, everybody, we'll talk to you later. Bye.